already. And I think on every session, I'm going to start right on time because whatever. I think I admire you. It's such an honor that we have so many crazy people who would want to talk about modeling on their weekends. I can't believe that you're just the fact that you're here is amazing to me. I think I'm going to uh, uh, get started right away. I am today, what I hope to do is we'll spend a little bit less time on this kind of mechanical equations, and we'll do some VBA. Okay, now a lot of people tell me this stuff. Okay, I'm gonna stop talk about just to introduce things. My uncle, who's wonderful, he really is. Not my uncle, my one uncle I'm best friends with, but this uncle, he's a professor and all that. And he says, "How could you use Excel? Why don't you use MATLAB? What kind of uh, basic person are you?" And when Excel doesn't do things the way you really want it to, and there are a lot of these little problems with Excel. Excel is amazing because you could, when I, used to make my programs, I used to have to write them in Fortran and C++, now a little bit in Python. Excel, when Excel doesn't do the things you want, and you can put things in rows and columns and see the equations and all that, and that's what's beautiful about it, or any spreadsheet program. It used to be Lotus and VisitCalc and all that stuff. But by doing that and putting the rows and columns there, it starts to have a little bit of limitations. What happens if you want to go around and around in around 1,000 rows? That's what we're going to do with a little bit of Monte Carlo simulation today. And then Excel starts to not work so well. Or what happens if Excel doesn't treat these circular references very well? Sometimes Excel's goal seek, which is a wonderful thing, kind of doesn't work so well. When Excel has this tool called data table that we'll use to make scenario a sensitivity analysis, but that sometimes really sucks, and the data tables don't know that you're supposed to do a goal seek in between. All these kind of problems exist. So I tell this uncle, "Oh, don't worry. We can use VBA. We can program in Excel and make it just about as powerful as just about anything you could use. It's just a programming language. What's the big deal?" And then other people would say, "Oh, no, you can't use VBA. It's such a basic language. You have to use some fancy language." In fact, VBA stands for basic. I remember when I first did basic in 1980s, you used to, the variables had to be A1, B2 and all that stuff. It's just a programming language with ifs and loops and all that stuff. They're all the same, and they're all pain sometimes, and you make mistakes with them, and you still, if you don't spell things right, it's just a gigantic pain. So we're going to do some of that today. That's what we're going to work on. Now, this time, I'm going to try to do it really, really quickly this time. And I hope you can hear me. What I did is, look at me. I'm going to now share the screen. Please, I hope you're hearing me. Can one person just make sure that I'm?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh,
We hear
thank
you.
you so much. Oh, and as usual, I was kind of worried about this. We had a little bit of experiment with doing this sort of thing last year, and I thought, oh, okay. And we made it totally, totally, totally unstructured. I tried to do a tiny bit more structure this time, and I just want to let you know where we're going. Some of you might be not interested at all in project finance and just in corporate finance. We're going to put those together. A lot of the principles we've used, I'm shouting too much, I'm sorry. A lot of the principles we used apply: the timelines, the structure, the sensitivity analysis, the Monte Carlo simulation we're going to do today, which has very little practical use, very, very little, but it helps you kind of show you, it shows you how to think about some of the DSCRs and all that stuff, the financial ratios, where in the heck do they come from? So a lot of those things we could apply to corporate models. When corporate models, the way I think about a corporate model, it's just a gigantic portfolio. If you have whatever Dunkin' Donuts or something like that, I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're just a bunch of little projects, and we consolidate them. They're franchised and all that, but whatever. A bunch of little projects. If we want to understand how profitable some corporation is that has a whole bunch of different projects, it would be great to be able to mull every little single project and put them all in a portfolio, and then we can see how the terminal value and all that stuff works. So here's what I wanted to say with this little introduction. Please interrupt me anytime. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so intimidated by so many people, and I'm so afraid of screwing up again. But please, please, it doesn't matter. This is the fascinating thing. If you have any questions or comments, please just turn the microphone off and interrupt at absolutely any time. That's the way I'm learning from you. So here's what I'm going to share the screen just a little bit. I'm going to try to go fast through this introduction so we can get right to some of the VBA. So here's, I sent this file out to you, and I tried to put it on my website. Here's where we left off. We left off and we said, okay, this is we did this kind of thing, which it was fascinating to me how you were interested in doing this stuff about doing a little bit of conditional formatting and all that stuff. That was great. I learned from you because I said, I better put these little things in, and maybe we could even kind of come up with a little way to do a conditional formatting when this doesn't equal this, something like that. We did all of that, and I emphasized that if you're a really fancy modeler, it might be harder for you, like it was for me, to say, my old methods suck. They really suck. Here's what some people do. They make an input C and an input S, and then they make a little summary out of this input C, and they don't mix it all up, and they keep it nice and structured. I never used to do that. So what we will do is we'll finish in the financial model, we'll do what my hero, Merton Miller of the Miller Modigliani, who I met one single time. I shook his hand, and it was gigantic for me. But he said, separate operations from debt, separate financing, and that's why we started the very first thing just by talking a lot and perhaps wasting time on talking about why the IRR is not a perfect statistic, blah, blah, blah. And then last time we put some basic, very, very basic debt schedules in here. And then we left off right here. We left off by finishing up with the equity IRR, the debt IRR, and talk. So we really, sorry for why am I saying so? The project IRR, debt IRR, equity IRR is really what we need, and then we'll add taxes and do pre-tax, after tax. But we're going to compute these LLCRs and DSCRs, and then after that, we're going to make a little sensitivity and scenario analysis, and we're first going to do this with a data table, and talk about what the problems with the data table are, and then we're going to use a little VBA to do that. And then we're going to take, and again, this is not in any way, if I use Monte Carlo, I used to want to use it all the time, and I used to want to show off and do all this crap. It's not very useful in practical terms, but it's useful in demonstrating things and demonstrating how a cash flow waterfall will use. And what we're going to do is go around and compute, like, 100 or 1,000 or more different scenarios. In each scenario, we're going to put a volatility statistic in and then talk about this mean reversion statistic and show you just how dramatically important that is to explain risk, to really kind of explain risk theoretically. And we're going to get the kind of probability of loss and loss given default. It's in a way half about some theory of some theory of defaults, and half about really doing a little bit of VBA to show you how you can do kind of fancier things and how easy it can be. And so we put some volatility. We'll talk a little bit about volatility and mean reversion. And then I have, because some people asked, in the real world, we have partial dates, we have debt issues that are paid semi-annually, and there are all these little complications. And so I put this at the end. I put a much more kind of little complicated thing, and I have to admit I struggled. It's basically the same model with more difficult issues. And one of the things I think, so some people said, I'm just interested in solar models. So I switched just now. I gave you solar model. Oh, we better put our table of contents in today. This has got the same kind of structure. Input C, we'll talk about input S, a financial model. This time it just has some electricity generation and whatever, some taxes and some depreciation and operating expenses. And we have the same kind of sensitivity analysis, a little bit of valuation. I have an error here, and some computations of the levelized cost of electricity, which if we would have a session sometime just on electricity, which I don't want to have yet, and then this resolution of the circular reference. So I just provided that file that we kind of just worked on. So I just did this. I'm going to give you, I'll send you this last time. So last time we introduced things a little bit. We introduced this business of DSCRs and LLCRs and said, okay, this was the big deal that people don't normally do. Again, that if I want the DSCR or the LLCR or the PLCR, I call them break-even measures. How far can the cash flow go down before we can't pay off our debt or we have a default? And the LLCR says we have a default. If the LLCR gets down to 1, we can allow a little default, but then we can repay that default by the time the loan life, LLCR, loan life coverage ratio, is finished. PLCR, we can do the same thing. If the PLCR, which is always going to be a higher ratio than the DSCR, the PLCR gives value to the tail. How far can the cash flow go down before we have a default? And we just pay off the default. So we did that a little bit last time to discuss it. We're going to do this scenario analysis. I'm sorry, I can't remember who asked me, but that was really good. He said, do a tornado diagram. I'll put one of those in later, but right now I'm kind of more addicted to these little waterfall charts that say, take a sensitivity analysis, put a base case, and see which of the impacts gets you down to a downside case. So I put a base case, which of the different variables pushes down to the downside case, and we can kind of, a lot about sensitivity is flexibility. And we said, okay, the probability of default is when the DSCR gets below 1, there's a kind of loss given default. And then what I wanted to say here really, really fast is we opened that file. We opened this file, and I'm going to open one file today again. We opened this file and said, oh, there's the oil price. It goes up and down, but there's some inherent production cost in the oil price. And the fact that maybe this was the 80s, the oil price was really low, and then it went up in 2008 and down and up and down and up. But there's some kind of production cost that allows you to go to some kind of mean reversion. And then we said, oh, look at BlackBerry. And that's from that little file I introduced to you the other day, the little whatever, the the Python thing where we said, oh, we can download this stuff from Yahoo. There's no mean reversion in Apple or BlackBerry. When they go out of fashion, they're finished. And when people get addicted to these things, it just goes up and up and up. There doesn't seem to be the same kind of pattern here. And that's my argument that in project finance, if we're going to lend 30 years, 25 years or something to a project, if we have mean reversion versus if it's something like BlackBerry that can go kind of totally out, we could never lend long term to this or even this, but we could lend something where we know things go back and forth. Now, the way we do that is with contracts and other things, but that's just a little bit of theory. And so just very quickly, the kind what we'll compute with this Monte Carlo is how much loss we have if we put a lot of debt in or a little debt in. And we'll put different levels of debt. And the loss given default depends on the DSCR being below 1, but also the severity of default gives you this, where is it? Loss given default. I don't know. I took a bad one there. And in project finance, I just want to say one thing about project finance. Somebody in Canada, many years ago, defined project finance as triple B, just barely investment grade debt. And if you look at ratings that banks have, the internal ratings, or you look at these S&P ratings, I had to hide this a little bit. This was a little bit old, but they used to make this presentation, and the people with capital IQ, maybe you have updated things. This is the number of project finance issues. They're all kind of just barely triple B. And the reason they are, you want as much debt, you want to push the debt in and get it just to where it's triple B. And then you say stop. And the reason I'm saying that and going through that is if somebody says the DSCR is 1.2 or the D for solar or something, DSCR is 1.4 for wind, something like this, DSCR for oil 2 times, whatever you have. They're really saying that's the DSCR in order to get a triple B debt. You really can't say that without saying triple B debt. Now, S&P, I was going to look this up. I need to update this. Here is triple B debt, and here is the probability of default. Ooh, if you go all the way to 20 years, you say it goes up to, it starts really low, and then it goes up to something like 8% or something like that. I hope I got that right. And that's interesting. Here's a little history on this. Here's a Fitch thing where they say, to get an investment grade rating, here's the kind of LLCR, DLCR we need. I'm going to send you all this. In project finance, the big deal is that the recovery rate, the loss given the default is low. The recovery rate is really high. And that's because for me of mean reversion, and there's some statistics, enough of this. So that's all my theory. I'm going to just take you through, I think, one thing. I hope I can do this. Oh, shoot. I hope I'm going to my website. Sorry, this is and I'm going to this one that says databases. And so each time I'm trying to introduce you to a tiny little database. Okay, now, and I'm afraid of doing this. So this is, if you go into databases, before we kind of talked about our stock price database, we're going to talk about this corporate database later, hopefully next week. And we talked about the commodity database last time, this time the interest rate database. And again, I don't care which language you use. Who cares about all of that? My thing is, how can we possibly get this stuff? So for me, there are two, we've really looked at two wonderful sources of data. Finance.yahoo, for me, that's so amazing where they present these adjusted stock prices. And whoops, and I guess what I have to do is, as usual, I have to go here. And where did I just do this? Shoot. Sorry about this. I have to go to this one, don't I? And oh, here it is. And I have to right click, and all that crap. And I have to go to Properties, I almost forgot, and then I have to unblock it and apply it, and after I press OK and unblock it, then I get this. Now, if you here's I wanted to show you this, but I'm really afraid of getting off track a little bit. So this one, and I'm going to close it right away. For me, the big deal here is if you go to Fred and put, sorry, if stop me if I'm if stop me at any time. But if I put Fred SOF SOFA rate or something like that, I didn't know you could get it. SOFA night, let's get the 90-day average. If you get the 90-day average, if you go here, it gives you a little bit of you know the whatever the a little graph, and it you can I don't know, this is the it just started in 2019, and the big thing is to take this little thing, and you take this little thing, this little code number, and then you can go into this, and let's say down here, I want to compare. Did I just I took, did I take 90 days? I'm sorry, whatever I took. I love the Thailand rate, but I'm gonna put this code number right here, and then I'm gonna call it SOF rate. And then once I do that, now I'm not going to do this because it takes about 2 minutes to do. You click on this thing that clears all the sheets, you get all the sheets, and sometime later I'm going to show you, oh, when you get all the sheets, it just sticks them in a file over here, and it always has a date. Everything's a time series. It has a date and an area and a whatever, a value. And once you have the date and the value, you can use the lookup function and you can compare all of these things. And the whole reason I just did this, and so what you do is you after you clear the sheets, it clears all those blank sheets. You get all the sheets. It's index and lookup together. No, indirect and lookup together. Excuse me. And then you can make a little graph, and we talked about this graph yesterday. So here's a long-term kind of interest rate. I would love to, I should compare the SOFA rate now that I just put it in. But right now, I'm going to say if you have, for me, if you're looking at project finance, I concentrate on triple B. And I say, okay, and if somebody tells me and then maybe let's look at a double B. Okay, and that's the credit spread. So if I want to kind of predict what the credit spread is, and then again, I don't need to go all the way back. It kind of started in 97, and you have that crazy thing that happened in 2008. So that's when the biggest bankruptcy in the history of the world was Lehman Brothers, and S&P had that rated as a double A or something. I think or single A. And so let's take that out and let's just start here somewhere. And we can kind of do a comparison, and you can see for a triple B, the credit spread is somewhere between 1% and 2%. And if you're getting somebody telling you, oh, the credit spread on my project finance is, well, this is double B, it's kind of a little bit high there, but is 3% or something else, they're really telling you it's double B. So I'm closing this file. Again, just to introduce things. So this time, can I find somebody who has the file open? Now, just one other thing. This is kind of embarrassing, but I made some changes once again in this generic macros. If you open the last one, actually, it would be totally fine. Can anybody share the screen and have the generic macros open, and also open this file called file for session 3. So I hope you see why we're going to do this Monte Carlo simulation a little bit to get some kind of probability and loss given default that looks like a triple B, and what kind of DSCR do we actually need to get there but we're just going to really be doing that to talk about a little VBA and sensitivity analysis and all that. How about this? Can I find anybody who's willing to do this?
Ed, very happy to volunteer again.
Okay. Josh, well, that would be great. Anybody else? Just in case. Okay. Well, Josh, good. Oh, you're awesome. And I'm terrified this time, Josh. Oh, let's put the auto recovery on because I'm
Thank God we have you here with us.
sorry.
No, I said thanks God we have Josh with us to.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. He's
Thank you.
brave. He's totally brave, and I love it. Okay, so we're just this time it'll be a little kind of VBA. And Josh, I don't know if you can do this. If you're going to do this, when we switch to VBA and back, we might have to kind of share the whole screen or whatever. We might have to switch back and forth a little bit, but that's okay.
Fine, no problem.
So how about this, Josh? Let's just compute those LLCRs and Beza, thank you for turning your. I didn't pronounce your name right. Okay, so what we're going to do now is remember we have all these scenarios, and how about you? Do some people want Josh to put his size just a little bit larger? I'm sorry about that. If that was my fault for.
Yeah, let me zoom in just a moment.
Okay, okay.
I'm just trying to implement the generic macros.
Oh, thank
Should
you
be done in
very
a second.
much. Okay. Oh, good. See, it's working because he pressed just for everybody else, just in case you joined late or something, which is totally fine. You get the generic macros from the website and you unblock it like I just unblocked that other file, and then you get it. So very, very good. So remember what we're doing, and this is fascinating. If you go to column F, I'm not doing this for generic macros, but would you mind, Josh, because we had this problem, see it says autosave way at the top. I hate this autosave in a way because it doesn't, but way at the top above the ribbon, even it says autosave. Can you turn that on just in case we have a problem? Over to the left a little bit. Left, keep going left,
yes.
left. Yeah.
Okay.
Remember when we tried to recover it and it didn't work? If you have the autosave on, okay, it'll recover it. Okay, I guess, I hope. Okay, and there, for some reason, it has yellow things in column F. Let's go down to column F7. Let's go just
so Ed,
to
can I confirm, is this on now, you think? Click
I
to turn
don't
on.
think it's, now it's on.
Okay.
Is it working? If it doesn't work, we don't have to, it might not be able to go on. That's okay too. Just,
But
Josh, do me a favor and occasionally press Control S.
S. I will bear that in mind. No
Okay,
problem.
okay, fine. If you go down to row number 7, go to that one. Right now it says index. That's a formula. That should not be colored because it's a formula. So what we didn't do is I must have left it like that. Sorry. And this one, could you go to the financial model for just a minute, Josh? I just want to make sure we have the right file. Okay, and if you go down a little, what we're going to do is keep going down a little bit more. There, we're going to fill in the equity IRR, the debt IRR, and some of those ratios. The rest we did last time. And again, if you're working on some kind of other model, even a corporate model, I hope this is still relevant. If you really want to work on some, we're doing a little bit of project finance, or a lot of project finance at first. I assume that that's what a lot of people wanted. If you don't, could you put something in that chat box? Go back to the input C and just press Control Alt C again, and then you've got to be really careful before we do anything. Press Control Alt C, because we did that fancy stuff with the conditional formatting. So you see where it says clean right in the middle there? Off click that, very good. And then press Reset Colors. So this is up at the top. There's a gray little bar that says up a little bit higher. That will, and see where it says remove conditional formatting. Don't click that. That's good. And then just press continue. That's going to take all our colors away. I'm sorry to be so obsessed with the stupid colors. What I really wanted to do is say, let's not worry. So you see it leaves the conditional format, and press Control Alt C again. Okay. And now we'll just color it, and hopefully that everything comes from that little column F. And you see where it says apply top color just down there? There's a little click. No, all the way at the right. It says apply top color, down, 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 a little bit, down, down,
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Click on that one. Good. Click off that one. And then
That's
press color sheet. We're going to apply the top colors later. Okay, so now you can see good. The in column F, those were all the index function. And I know why they're blue. If you click on one of those things, can you click on that date again? The reason it's blue, you see, it took something, and the way that mechanically works in VBA, if there's a little exclamation point, you see, that must have come from a different sheet. So that sensitivity sheet, that's how we're gonna, the number 1, 2, 3 for our different scenarios is gonna come from that sheet. So let's go and finish these ratios. So if you go to the financial model, let's compute first the basic one that says the equity cash flow. Now, again, this is great you're doing this, Josh. Equity cash flow is just the dividends, and the dividends is up there in line 88, and that's how much you get to put back in your pocket. And you subtract the amount of money you take out of your pocket. That's, and remember, the equity rate is IRR, or any IRR is the growth rate, and you go up a little bit higher. And there's another cash flow statement. That cash flow waterfall is after construction, and there should always be keep going a little bit higher right there. Not down there. And you can see that the equity we put into this project all the way down in line 44. So this go down to line 44. That's the amount you took out of your pocket. Again, it's all if it was if we had no debt, that's project IRR. That's what Miller and Modigliani said to concentrate on. But in the real world, we concentrate on equity IRR. Press enter, because the risk is not determined by some, excuse me for saying, BS capital asset pricing model. I study that like crazy. I have to testify. Shift Control R. So that's our thing. And remember, why don't you can you go up and select that again? Go up one, Shift Control right arrow. Whoops, just on that. No, go back to the line. Sorry, Josh, all the way. Shift Control right arrow, and then just for everybody else, press F11. And if you press F11, press F11.
Yeah.
Oh, function F11. That should do you have to press the function key? That I'm just that's a graph. That graph sucks. Okay. And what's happening here, it's really simple. We have our cash outflow. We have to pay off the debt. You have to give dividends in project finance or it doesn't really work. And then we have big dividends once the debt is paid off. Alt E, hands off L. Delete this chart. Alt E, hands off L. Okay.
Alt E.
And then L, the letter L for very good. That just deletes it. Now, if I wanted that graph to just go up one, if I wanted that graph to just show the operating data, I would put equal if. I've shown you this before, but we'll do it really fast. If, open the bracket, and go up to that operating period in line 9. Click on the 0 in line 9. in line 9, and then put a comma, and then put the date in line 8, and then put a comma and type the word NA, and then after you type the word NA, open and close the bracket and press enter. And then Shift Control R. Now when that will make our Shift Control R, and now press Control 3. I think we had to press Control 3 to get the date. And now go back to column, I think C, go back to column C, D, sorry about that, D. And that's the X scale. You need a blank on the X scale, shift down. I hope this is going to work. Shift Control right arrow twice. And press F11 again. And now can you see what it did? It kind of made a nice graph, and it put the dates in, and so if we change the whatever, if we change the life of the project, the whole thing will change. Okay, enough of that. That's just a little NA trick that I just found was not quite as good as I thought it was. Okay, we'll come back to that later, but it's a wonderful, handy thing. That's how, when I opened that file with the, when I put the different years in the drop-down box and all that, that's how we did that. Let's go back to the financial model. And let's go down and get the equity IRR. How about let's put that in column F. So if you go down, put equal, let's use X IRR again, although I think this is an annual model, it really wouldn't matter. Go all the way to the negative, Shift Control right arrow, and then you have to put the dates in and put a comma, and when you take the dates, go all the way up and yes, go forward, Shift Control right arrow, we take the end dates. Because of debt in our model, and because we're using the opening balance for our debt, which means cash flows are assumed to occur at the end of the period. That's why we use the ending. Press enter. So we've got that first ratio, and that's a really high IRR. Are we on the base case? Okay, how about can you go, can I just show you how, let's skip to the downside case, but go to input C. Now, if I didn't do this, do you see I have that little drop down box? If you go all the way, instead of doing it there, Josh, let's show you how we did that, okay? So you go all the way down. Now, there are some people, we go down to line 48. Just down there, keep going down a little bit farther, right? It doesn't matter, just click on D48. And when you put equal transpose, equal the word transpose, in the old days, transpose was a painful command. Now you just open the bracket and go up to the base case in I5. Go up to I5 and Shift Control right arrow. Just Shift Control right arrow and select all those titles. Okay, and press enter. And that's all you have to do to get them. And then once you have those, you go to the developer tab. And in the developer tab, you press the insert button. And this time you take the second one, which is that they call it a combo box. And you draw a little combo box next to this. Okay, and then make it a little wider, Josh. It's really artistic. It's got to fit those names, and you right click. It's just like it's just right click again, like you did. Just right click and go down to Format Control, and then you always have to go to a different page. On the input page, click on that. Very good. And then select all those little base case. Select all that stuff down there, and you press enter, and then all you're doing with this, you're controlling that cell link, which is up in E2, but don't press it on E2 this time. I did a little trick. Instead of that, click on that one, click on that little arrow, and then go to the sensitivity page. And I put our little code number in the sensitivity page for a reason. Click on that number 1 up there in G and press enter. Okay, and then you press OK, Okay, and then, oh, it said spill, but don't worry about that. Click off of it and just pick one of those numbers. Okay, so that's how easy it is to do. Just how about click the low case, how about the low growth rate case, the low growth rate case. Is that okay? And then let's see what's our IRR, go to the financial model, and our IRR goes all the way down to 2.96, and we're going to do a little bit of analysis to see how we get from the base case to the downside case. We're going to go step by step by step and just make a little diagram. Now let's get the debt cash flow. And the debt cash flow is just like that. Now, in this case, I haven't put any fees in. So in this case, I hope if we did this right, the IRR on the debt is the same as the interest rate. To get the IRR on the debt, you first go up to the debt service in line 83. Now, if we had some additional fees, oh, this isn't going to work perfectly here because I didn't put any interest during construction in. Just a minute, but that's fine. That's the amount the debt holders or the bankers or the financiers get in their pocket, and then put a minus on the amount they get. And their minus is up. What we would really have to do is add the IDC into there, but get the debt funding right there. Click on that one. The debt funding. That's like the equity funding. Press enter. And that's our debt cash flow. Now, before press Shift Control R. Now, there's the interest during construction. I don't care. That thing that creates a circular reference. So I purposely wanted to get the basic kind of ideas right here. And circular references are my passion. And fixing that in Excel is such a big deal. But right now, Josh, could you go back up to the low growth case? Now, when you did that little thing where we went from back and forth in sheet, the reason we did that is to be able to put this in any sheet. So click on that thing and go up to the base case again. Oh, Josh, you're becoming great. And so now I'm putting an annual model back. So we just have one period. So we made our model really flexible. And if you would go up, don't do this right now. If you go up and look at every single equation, including the timelines, every single one should be simple. If it's not simple, you have to say, I was lazy. I made a really big formula, and that's about the laziest thing I can do. I'm going to go back and fix it and add maybe 10 lines if it was really long to really be able to explain this in a transparent way. Let's go up to F, go to column F and get the debt IRR, put equal X IRR again. Now, and select this one and then put a comma and go up to those end of period, just like you did. Press enter. Oh my gosh, the improvement. And that's our interest rate. And if you go, I hope that if you go to input C, you'll see that that's our kind of we put the credit spread and the thing, and we kept the interest rate flat. Somebody asked last time, which is a great question, does this all work if you change the interest rate? And the answer is yes, but it's a little more complicated. The present value of the debt service is equal to the size of the debt, and it's a little more complicated, but we can all do that. Let's go down now, and how about this? Let's put now let's compute the DSCR. Okay, for the DSCR, the first thing you need is cash flow CFADS. Go down up to line 97, and let's get escape. I'm sorry. Let's get our CFADS. Cash flow, what does that stand for? CF? Cash flow after debt
Available
service.
for debt service.
Available. Don't get obsessed. People get very obsessed by looking at a term sheet. What's the exact definition? Blah, blah, blah. It's the cash flow that we have available. And if we get some cash flow from unwinding a swap, if we get some cash flow from insurance proceeds, if we importantly get cash flow from the DSRA, the debt service reserve account being repaid, that means the project gets cash flow because you get to take it out of the bank. All of that stuff is available cash, and it's available cash period by period, not accumulated. So let's go up and just get the EBITDA. This time, don't even press enter. Don't even copy it. Go down, because that's what you're supposed to do. Put it up to go to the next one, which is debt service. Where is this? Hang on. Where did I do the DSCR? Just a minute. Escape. Did I not do the DSCR? I must have done the DSCR somewhere. Go down. Do I? No, just a minute. That is DSCR. I'm sorry. Get the DSC. Go up one. Get the debt service from that cash flow waterfall again. And again, I hope you're press enter. And then I don't know why I put a discount rate in there. Let's leave that blank. Can you go down and compute the DSCR? Now, if you would divide those, you're going to get a divide by zero. Go up and divide that. Press enter. To get rid of that divide by zero, the thing you cannot do is put an if statement and put zero. Instead, do a little trick. Leave that calculation there, but go right after that equal sign, put an if statement. Leave the formula and go up to the go up one. Click on that divide by zero. Click on that and put it right after the equal sign, put an if statement. So leave that, put an if statement, and then look at the denominator and open the denominator, open the bracket, and click on K98. What that does, if you just put K98, that stands for, and then put a comma. And finished. Absolutely finished. And if you do it like that, the denominator, press enter, that gives you false. You didn't put anything, you only put if it's true, and that says if it's not equal to zero, make it that's true, and then select the whole thing, select all the shift control R. Now that doesn't always work, by the way. So that's our DSCR. And the reason false is so much better than zero is if you go back to column F and put the minimum DSCR. Let's go to column F and just get the minimum of that entire line. Okay, and that's our first ratio. If that is below one, whoops, minimum, and then just open the bracket and then just press shift control right out. False is ignored. If you would have put zero at the end of that if statement, it wouldn't have worked. It would have given the minimum would be zero. So you could have put NA, or you could have put some brackets. That doesn't matter. So and remember, if we took a break even, how low can the cash flow go before we can't pay off this debt? Let's go down there. And the way we did that, if you put an equal sign, and again, this is a little bit theoretical, and a lot of fancy bankers don't know this basic idea. You open the bracket and you take that DSCR up there and you put -1, and then you close the bracket. I have a range name on that. And you divide that by the DSCR itself, not by 1. And that gives you how much can the cash flow go down, and we're still being okay. So you can tell we can say, and that's how we relate it to all volatility and all that stuff. You could even do a little theory on this, but the cash flow can go down by 38%, and from our base case, basically, and we're still okay. Let's do the next one. So if we go now, can you go down to, and that's going to be the PLCR. I'll do the PLCR first because it's kind of a little bit easier. Go up there to the CFADS. You know, I guess, no, I'm sorry. Go up to the PV of the CFADS. Let's do it kind of one way, and then in the next one, we can do it a little bit differently. If you would put an equal sign right here and take NPV of the CFADS, you take the NPV and you go up to the CFADS and start there, shift control right arrow, that would not be correct. Press enter. Oh, Yeah. Oh, we have to put a discount rate in. I'm sorry, the discount rate. Let's take the discount rate is the debt is the interest rate. So go up and find the interest rate. Don't take that one because that later could be below that. If that's our IRR. We might not earn that IRR if we have a default. So could you go up a little bit higher and find the right there? Very good. That's the input. Put a comma. If there's a default, the IRR on the debt will be below that. Now that's not correct because we want that to begin only after the construction period. So there's a nice little trick to doing this. If you go up to CFADS in line 97 and change that just a little bit and go forward, go all the way forward and press, do the same thing, press F2 or whatever to go to the formula bar and put an if statement right in front of it, put an if statement and open the bracket and go up to that operating period in line 9, clicking on line 9, and then put a comma, and then you press enter. Notice I didn't put, it makes it false. And if you stare, I don't know how to do this, Shift Control R. If you do it like that, can you just type in 0 temporarily and we'll undo it and stare at PV of CFADS? Put a 0 there. And then you see that changed. So we should take the PV only after the construction. Now press Control Z, get rid of that. So you need to start there. So that's a little trick that works with annual models. It's not that great a trick. We've got to figure out how to kind of get this to work a little bit better. And then what you can do, go down to the next one. Let's go and take the PV of the NPV, use that same discount rate, the debt discount rate. And the reason you use the debt discount rate in theory is because if we have a default, we're going to repay the default at that same interest rate. So when we did our little default thing last time, yeah, take that, and then you're going to have to make that same adjustment. Right now it says that, but if you go up and make that same adjustment, and right after that, you put a little if right there, and you click on the 0 and press comma, and then I would say, no matter what field you're in, Shift Control R, okay? And then you see that we didn't, that 800,000 down there, we didn't have to put that in. That's just the debt size. If you go a little bit higher to our debt schedule, you can see that 800,000 exactly the same as the debt. I'm so happy you're doing this, Jess, because it's hard for me to try to talk and type at the same time. Oh, it's fantastic. So go down. That's our basic principle. And it took me like, I was a banker. I didn't know that when I was a banker. I made all these models. I didn't know this. And if you don't know, that's, we compute the PV of the debt service to prove. So that this is great question. Thank you. The PV, we don't have to. We could. So your answer to the question is you absolutely don't have to. If you had a DSRA, by the way, you should subtract that because it's like net debt, but whatever. The reason I did that is just to prove that to you because that's a key thing. And now you can see basically we have the same sort of thing, but it's cash flow divided by debt service, but it's cash flow divided by debt service in present value terms, and do the same break even kind of calculation. Put an equal sign, you could almost copy that. I didn't follow the, ask that again. Sorry about that. Be careful, Josh, you need a bracket. Let's just, can you go back and just step on that 800,000 again? So if you press F2, you can see what we did. It was just the NPV using the 4.5%. I hope that's the question you had of all the debt service, but we started right at the time we repay the debt. That's why we put that little true and false thing in there. We need that to be false, not 0. If you take it 0, it brings it back to the beginning or the financial close. If you put a false, it brings you back to the start of the construction. Now that difference, that interpretation of this is the big deal. That 50.8, whatever that is, that number says the cash flow can go down. We could have a default on our DSCR. We could have a big default on our DSCR, but we could still repay the debt at the end because we could restructure the debt because we have a tail. How about this, Josh? Could you go to the switch the scenario, and I have a different scenario, and down there it says, keep going down, it says there's a second base case. Go up to that second base case down there. Okay, and if you click on that one and then go back to the summary page, I hope this is working. Okay, that shows you, and then why don't it should, oh, that's the base case. In that case, and that for me, that is the one graph. I go crazy when people make, speedometer graphs or graphs of this and that. If you look at one graph, that graph shows, ooh, we're right at the beginning, we've got a DSCR above 1 and all that. Can you click on the next, that drop-down box just below that? And that one says the DSCR case, go down one, just one. And now we lowered the price. And the way I did that, I'm not going to waste your time, but I took the EBITDA on the base case and multiplied it by 1 minus that break even. And that proves that the DSCR says this EBITDA in this case is whatever, that 30% below the other one. And now click on the next one, just below that, the next scenario. And that LLCR case, it's a little bit complicated, but it says we have a default now. But the good news is when we have a default, when we have a default, we can repay it by the loan life. That's the kind of definition. What's our break even now? But I haven't done the LLCR yet. Go to the PLCR case. And in that PLCR case, click, and we did that last time. We had a gigantic default, but we can take that tail. Josh, can you kind of show people where the tail is? That's after the debt is finished up there. We take that tail and we use that to restructure the debt, and at least we can just pay it off. And in that case, that 43,000 of EBITDA was that break even. That's the amount. It's below the DSCR. So when you're a banker or a presentation to a banker or thinking about this, you say, how low can it really go? And you have to trust that they're going to have some cash flow at the very end of the project and all that. And a banker wouldn't really trust this very much because it's a really long-term project. But in theory, we can go all the way down. Can you go back to the base case up there, the second base case, right? Just up a little bit. That case. So if you took that 70,000, how about taking the PLC? It says the PLCR. Let's just stop there. So go down, just type 1.62 anywhere. Just type anywhere down in the thing, 1.62. And then put an equal sign. Do your little formula. Open the bracket, 1.62 minus 1, close the bracket, divide it by the 1.3, yes. And that, now go and take that 70,000 over there in the EBITDA and multiply it by 1 minus that number. So go to that 70,000, multiply it by 1 minus that number, okay? And so that says, and then that's how low the cash flow can go. And we have a default, we have to restructure our debt, but we can still pay it off. And go to the PLCR again. So go up to the PLCR case, and do you see that's the number? Oops, what happened? That was the number. Okay, it changed because, okay. So that's the concept. So what I'm trying to do here is instead, we're going a little bit slowly maybe, but instead of just saying, in our financial model, let's just make this calculation. Let's try to understand a little why you'd even make this calculation. Let's go and compute one more thing in the financial model. And then
So Ed, I have a quick question here. What happens in the event where your DSCR is changing every quarter or every period?
So that's what we're going to do a little bit with Monte Carlo simulation, because right now we just level it and then we'll be able to do a little bit of that. And so it's what the LLCR or the PLCR implicitly means is we don't allow any dividends. If we're getting into a downside case, we have 100% cash flow sweep, which we'll get into that a little bit later. So it's a really good question. The thing that scares the heck out of a bank, I would hate it. I call it the 2008 problem. We allowed you to pay a dividend in 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, because everything was all fine. And suddenly, whoop, the cash flow falls by a gigantic amount and we default. And the bank says, what happened? And that's what they hate. The cash flow sweep protects the bank against that. And if you don't have a cash flow sweep, this concept I showed you isn't quite theoretically right. That's why we're going to do that. So I didn't answer that very well, but a tiny bit. Can you put it back up to that base case again, that base case? Now, the other thing I want to tell you, that one. Now, you can say, no, in a real model, I'm not allowed to put that drop-down box because somebody made a rule and they said, no, I don't like that. But can you see that in financial modeling, we're not only, okay, we want to present a really beautiful base case and a downside case and everything's right. And in the input C, everything's carefully done, all that stuff. But we also want to demonstrate kind of what's going on and demonstrate a little bit of this theory. So now let's go and do the same thing.
So Ed, real quick. So you see here the DSCR is changing every period, but we're calculating the minimum.
That should change. That should change. If you look at the graph, go back to that summary page. That's because we had a flat debt service. So if it's sculpting, which we haven't done yet, which some people might be impatient and say, why haven't we? We're going to do the sculpting with a more complicated model. But my whole idea is to get the fundamentals that people want to skip over first. So you can kind of see the DSCR in that graph. Great question. And if anybody else has questions, please. I love that. I love that.
Maybe one real.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I have a real quick one. So Ed, sometimes what happens is that if you have solvers, effectively here we're saying if the denominator is 0, then treat it as false. That's what we're saying, and then otherwise calculate. But what happens if the denominator is not 0, but very, very close to 0?
So what you really should do, no, that's great. Press F2. You should have pressed F2 and put a less than 0.01 or something, because in real models you always have this rounding problem. Put a less than sign and put something. Did you put a less than sign? Yes, press enter. That will do the same thing. That's a really good point. Brian, go ahead, Brian. Oh, it's great to see you.
Likewise. Hi there. Just a quick question around the discounting of the CFADs. I get that we do it until the beginning of operations or the end of construction. I don't know if you come across this also, but I've had situations where bankers want to know on day one, how much do we need to set aside? So, it's almost a question of saying, yes, this is the amount of debt that the project can support at the end of construction, and it's capable of doing that over the duration of the debt life. But if we were to say, how much money do we need to set aside on day one, we would need to PV that to the beginning of construction, would we not?
So here, for me, here's the problem. Do you, Josh, you do not have that other solar project open, do you? If you don't,
I
that's
can
fine.
open it real quick. It's right here.
Okay. Um, this this is gonna take at least one whole session to do, I think. So if you,
Can you see it?
yeah, very good. Okay, and could you, if you look, could you go up and look at the debt repayment? So you go down a little bit and up. I'm sorry, up. This has got the debt repayment. If you go forward on this one, just go forward. Keep going forward. Oh no, yes. Oh, good. It's got some negative repayments there. And the bank doesn't like those negative repayments, and that's because of if we put the sculpting in and match it in solar, it might frequently happen that if it's for Brian, what do you call the summer? The summertime for you is right
Yes,
now
this
you're in the middle of the winter, the end of the winter, right?
happens in the end of every one of our projects. You're talking about the scenario where where you're still kind of drawing down for the initial period of the loan because the PV of the CFAD's profile behaves in such a manner that there's, I guess the European term for it is positive repayments over the initial
Right.
period of the loan. This happens in every single one of our solar
Oh,
models.
really, it's that big a
It's
problem.
not, it's not a misnomer for us. This happens in every one.
So here's what I think what you need to do is you need to put enough cash reserve in there. So you take the PV of that number at it's not the debt discount rate, it's the whatever the interest rate you're going to be making on a fund, which could be on a cash, which could be zero. And then you have to say, and then when you draw that out, you add that to the cash flow, and then you get your DSCR back. I'm doing this really quickly. We'll have a whole session about it. But the bank might say, oh no, then the DSCR just gets 3.1, not our 1.2 or 1.5 that we need. So you might have to even put a higher cash reserve in. It creates a little circular reference. It creates a mess. It's a hard problem, but we're going to go. I'm just going to put that off. So it's fantastic that you mentioned that, and I'm sorry that I have to answer it that way, Brian.
Because we've done scenarios where you put aside the cash in a reserve, but when you release the reserve, the profile implied over here, when you actually make a capital payment in between, you're actually shortening the duration of the debt then. So you don't meet your initial tenor target.
Oh, I'll have to look at that.
I've done the pull the cash aside, stick it in the reserve, but this profile, as Josh has on his screen right now, implies that you're drawing down for the first, shall we say, 2 periods, and then you're paying back. So there's actually no change. Well, there's a decrease in the debt value. If there isn't a decrease, in other words, there's a constant. You are changing the debt tenor.
I think you have to make 2 debt schedules. I'm gonna go through that.
Okay.
I've had trouble with that. Exactly.
No problem.
It's gonna take a whole session just to go through that problem. And that's, Brian, it's really good you mentioned that, because that's my kind of idea. Let's get all the fundamentals, and these are interesting theoretical questions down, and then we'll go through. And if people have specific kind of things, then we're gonna take those. So, Josh, could you just close this file just because it might slow us down a little bit. So sorry, Brian, for not answering the question, but let's do something.
Ed, over here, you said that you should have it as less than 0.1. So I guess what we're saying is the formula should read, if the ratio is less than 0.1.
Or if the denominator is less than 0.1. If the denominator is just about 0, sometimes it's not exactly 0. So you put less than a little positive number. Very good. Very good. Perfect. Okay, press enter. And then could you do something else? Could you go to line 99 J99.
Sorry, this is not working.
Oops. If it's if it's
greater than 0.1.
greater than, oh my God, that's my fault for being dyslexic. I'm totally dyslexic. Oh, thank you. I could say, oh no. If it's, oh, it doesn't work with true false either. That's why I was lazy. Oh, just put, oh gosh. Let's just leave it the way we had it for now. Okay. Sorry about that. It doesn't work. It works. Oh, very good. Just for now. Okay. Oh God. You can manage that, because what we're going to do right now is take that business of doing the false out. So go up to the discount rate, go where it's that blank thing for the, go down, 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 down. It was right in our area in line 98. Go to line 98 and go to J, column J, and go down one. I meant 99. If you put equal one, equal the name one, is that there, O-N-E? No. Yeah, press enter. It's really stupid. Brian laughed at me for this. Auditors, if you have something right now, it's not a input. If you just typed one in, forget that. Let's go forward. And then you put an equal sign and you go back to that one and you multiply that and you open the bracket and you put 1 plus, and then you go way up and find the interest rate periodically. That right there, I see it, that one. And so that could be a monthly interest rate. It could be an interest rate that changes over time, but don't do it exactly like that. Press F2, and you don't, we want to only start discounting, put a multiplication inside the bracket. Exactly, Josh, very good, inside the bracket, and multiply that by the operating period in 0. Press enter and press shift control R. Okay, and that's like, oops, and why is that? How about shift control Q, shift control Q, and then shift control R again. Okay, that's just putting a little, so that's like, it's like a inflation rate or a discount rate. And then if you go, why is, just a minute, what's going on with the DSCR? Why is that giving us is if you go forward, do we have a divide by 0 if you go forward? Yes, what happened? Oh, this time, go back. This time, I'm sorry to delay this. Go all the way back, but these are good little questions. Take that false away from upstairs in line 98. Go to line 98. Up one. Yeah, you take that and take that if statement away. And in fact, when you take the if statement away, just undo that, Control Z, and just leave the debt service, but without the if statement, okay? And then put your greater than 0, okay? So it just didn't like the press enter. That's good.
So just carry 3, that's it.
Just like that, press enter, that's fine. That'll do it. And then up one, shift control, up to the down to the debt service where you just did it. Copy that, shift control R, and then go down where it says now fix your thing and put greater than 0. So fantastic. I'm sorry to take so much time on this little thing, but it's good. Greater than 0. These little things drive you crazy for my whole life. Good. Press enter. Now it should be okay. It just didn't like the false. Shift control R, and then now why is that still giving us divide by 0 over there? If you go forward, there should be no divide by 0. Oh no, go forward. It's
sorry, so it should be, okay, the formula is wrong. I guess the formula has to be if this number, if K98 is greater than 0.1.
Oh, good, thank you. I didn't see it. Very good. Okay.
Hopefully
good.
That should solve it.
Now,
Yeah.
if you go down to PV of CFADS and PV of And this, we're going to use this in sculpting. We're going to use this in the thing Brian said. If you put equal, and then this time, instead of using NPV, yeah, put it right there. Put equals some product. And then open the bracket and take the CFADS in line 97 and take the whole, go shift control right arrow and divide that by that PV factor. You should get the same amount. So that's a little, and shift control W to get the formatting. Okay, because that gives you the same amount. So we could have done that on the next one too. And in fact, that would have been the right way to do it. Put equal some product, and I didn't know you could divide into some product. How do you know that? If you're an idiot like me back in 20 years ago reading an Excel book, can you imagine anything more boring than that? Oh my God, go up to the debt service and do the same thing. Take the total debt service. It's just like and divide that by that little factor. Okay, so that's a kind of more elegant way to do that. And with our little annual model, we're proving things. And now you go down, okay, and let's do the CFADS over the loan life. So can you go down to line 108 and just go forward this time? And we can use an if statement or a multiply, but take that CFADS up in line 97 and multiply that by and this time you have to go up and find the debt flag. And some people argue now, go up a little bit higher. That's right there. Hang on, the debt repayment flag, that one. Okay, click on that one. And some people would say, oh, that's a bad way to do that, because what you should have done is put all the flags in a separate page, blah, blah, blah. If you want to do that, fine. I'm not going to get in an argument about that. Certainly other people say, I hate that. So you put the flags where you really need them. I don't know. We could have copied the flags and then go down. This time go down and compute the go forward, go down to the CFADS over the loan life. How about go into column F? Go to column F and just put the sum product. Let's use the sum product thing. Okay, and go up to that CFADS you just did, and this time divide that again by that PV factor. Okay, so that's just it's like, and then just put an equal sign and go up to the 800,000 this time. Now go down. So we didn't have to redo that's always going to be the same. That's always going to be the amount of the debt. We could have used the amount of the debt. So the question that was raised before was really good. And then the LLCR is just put an equal sign and go up to that one, divide it by the one below. And then you put this formula in and see how low can the cash flow go down before we cannot repay the debt. Did you have the bracket around there? Okay, great. So that's careful. That put the bracket there. Very good. So the cash flow can go down by 13%, and we can't pay off the debt this period. It can go down by 19%, and we can pay off all the cash flow at the end of the life. And again, what you said, Josh, was exactly right. This has got this crazy idea that the cash is constant, and that's exactly. And in fact, let's just kind of skip over to this thing. Can you skip over to the time series page? Click over to this. If you go up, now I made a graph. Right now I have zero volatility in there. Can you go up? Now I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. For me, making Monte Carlo simulation is really easy. Oh, good. You're going to put some good. Put it even higher. We looked at the volatility of oil prices about 25%. However you. Good. Okay. Now, if you go forward to I2, there, go down one. So right now we go down to, I'm sorry, to I4. Thank you for, oh, good. And then instead of just having it flat, put an equal sign, and you go back to the to that and multiply it. Well, let's do it the old way. Instead of doing that, put a plus sign, put a plus instead. And then go back to that 70,000 again. And then we're going to make that into a volatility. And to make that into a volatility, you say, take the last one, take the price from the last period. And this is called non-stationary, a random walk or anything. And you multiply it by, actually just, yeah, for now, multiply it by 0, just for a second. I got to explain this a little bit better. So for now, it's just going to be the same thing. Go up to I2, like I told you before. Put equal RAND and open and close a bracket.
R.
AND, random. We're going to use the random. And if you go online, people say, oh, the random number is not. Just press enter, close the bracket. Okay, that just gives you a random number. And if you press F9, it gives you another random number. Keep doing that. So just press F9 and keep going. And you see the random number is between 0 and 1. And that's very convenient because if you go to J2 and if you type NORMSINV, NORMSINV, that says you start with a probability that can be between 0 and 1 and give me a normal distribution. So click on that point, that I2, and press enter. And what that gives you, and that gives you a negative number, go up to that and press F9 again. And so if the number is greater than 0.5, if it's less, it goes down. Press, if it's, keep going and go up. Keep going up. Now, the volatility is computed as the standard deviation. Why is it always? Oh, good. It's finally positive. Press, keep going. So we just press F9 a few times. That's the idea of Monte Carlo simulation. Okay. And now, and that kind of goes, if we did a really extreme case, we might get -4. That's kind of 2 standard, whatever. How many standard deviations? 2 standard deviations away, +4 is 2, and the probability of that is very low. So we use this idea, and again, the way you compute volatility of a stock or a commodity price is with the standard deviation. And if we assume the movement is a normal distribution, which people can object to like crazy, we can make a simulation. So if you go to I4 again, and if you say plus instead of +0, put plus, take the 0 away, multiply, excuse me, put NORMINV, NORMSINV, open the bracket, put RAND in between that, open and close the bracket, and close that, and then multiply that by the 25% volatility and press F4 when you do that. And hang on, did we put one too many brackets there? I think we're okay. Yeah, multiply by that, press enter.
And F4, then, right? Do you want me to freeze it?
Yes, F4, very good. Okay, and press enter. And when you do that, ooh, we had a big decline in cash flow, and press F9 again, or function, you can press Shift F9 too. Okay, go up and down, keep going. So sometimes it's going to be higher, sometimes it's going to be lower. And if you said there'd be a 68% chance of being within 1, all that stuff. Now press Shift Control R. And you can see what happens is uh-oh, just a minute. Why didn't that show in, it should have kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, good. And did we have to do anything? Press F9 again. Oh, good. So sometimes it's going way up and sometimes it's going way down. And now what Monte Carlo simulation, and here's what, again, we're going to each time, can you see I kind of cheated? Actually, could you go back to the financial model and just fix one tiny little thing in that financial model? Do you see where, could you, in the PLCR, where it says 1.45 up there in 105, could you put an equal sign, take line 104, that one across in G, so in G, go to G, because that's a little more precise divided by the, so what we do, press enter, and then, and you see up, wait, go up to line 105. In line 105, can you, down there, can you see that I just named that PLCR? Do you see that? And you could define this in a different way. And if you go up to line 100, if you go up to line 100, I defined that as LLCR. Can you see the range name? That's got a range name in it. Okay, very good.
DSCR, right?
Right, and that the last one was LLCR. So if you go back to the time series page, okay, now if you, it gives, every time you're pressing F9, it's giving you a different DSCR, LLCR, and PLCR. Okay, is that right? And the way I did that is if you go to the up down there, it's I did this badly. It was too fast. Go to I5. Go to I5. That's like a little index. I just took press F2. How did I do that? I took I just took an index, the last index times the change, which is this period divided by last period. And if you go to the, press enter, if you go to the financial model, and if you go up, I didn't want to waste too much of your time with all this. Go way up to the EBITDA. And in the EBITDA calculation right there, do you see it says a volatility index in line 26? Go down to line 26 and maybe skip over. So we're starting in column K, go forward. So we're just starting in column K. Can you see that I multiplied our prior EBITDA by a little volatility to push it up and down? And Josh, that's exactly kind of what you asked. What happens if instead of just being, whatever, flat, what happens if it goes up and down? So now we have the ability to go up and down, and now go back to the time series calculation. And so you can see, oh no, now the DSCR, look at this scenario you had. Because of the random number, hi Brian, ask your question, please. You don't even,
So just a question around that. I know that that's not necessarily the context over here, but I'm just thinking about the solar model that the other one that you had open at the same time. In those types of models, there's already shall we say, the impact of a statistical measure being the amount of generation, or in the wind, the amount of, well, in all those cases, the amount of generation, right? And
so
that
you're getting to the P90, right?
yes.
And
So
the P90 is got the same sort of concept. But can I tell you something, Brian? As a banker in the 1980s, when you were hardly born, we used to have to sit around a table, and whatever we had, I remember we had Newmont Gold Company or this real estate company. We'd sit around a table and say, what's the downside case? And we didn't give a crap about the base case. What's the downside case? Is the DSCR above 1 in the downside case? Now that P90, we need to have another session on this, because it is the most BS number ever. The P90 is supposed to be some rigorous statistical measure, and then when you take a look at what's really inside it, you kind of get, oh my gosh, I start to throw up. It's got all these, can we make an error? How much error can we make when we do this? How much error can we make when we do this? Do we not clean our panels enough? And what's the error around not cleaning our panels? It gets crazy, but it's essentially a statistical measure where you use a normal distribution and push this down, push the the base case, which is called P50, down, 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 down until you get a 90% chance of being above the base case. And that's about probably 8% or something. Everybody kind of comes up with 8%. The downside case is 8% below the base case. That's the P90 divided by the P50. So it's the same kind of concept, but here's the big deal. This is the big deal I want to talk to you about. Now, let's show you how easy it is to make this kind of thing. This doesn't have any mean reversion. So when it goes down, it never gets back up. Josh, can you press F9 a few times? And so I think this is fun, just to be able to press F9 and get a little graph. And to do that, how about let's just make sure everybody can make that graph. Delete that graph for a minute. And then all you do is you select, go up and just select where it says EBITDA. Just start with G, shift control right arrow, and just press alternate and F1. And I don't know if you have to, press the function key. Alternate, does that work? Alternate function F1. Whoops, no.
Did you say F1 or F11?
F1.
Alternate F1. Yeah, there you go.
So that's how you make a graph in the same page. And you notice when it goes down, it doesn't go back down. Now, if you have solar power, if we have a little bit extra clouds one year, the weather kind of mean reverts. I know we have global warming. I'm not one of these things that says it's a hoax. Somebody else says it's a hoax. Oof. If you press F9 again, this is more like a stock price. This is how you'd do a model of a stock price. When you do model of weather, it's mean reverting. We could have a windy year, a non-windy year. So when it goes down, it stays down. That's how you look at volatility, and that's how all these finance people, when they develop the Black-Scholes model, everything, they use this. Now let's make this and let's count how many times the DSCR is below 1 when we do this. And to do this, we're going to make a VBA. And how about making a little button, maybe go to Q16 or something, and go to the developer tab and just make a little button. Okay, and then all you do is you use two things. Go down, good. And then where it says button click, press new. We can just call that button click. And then all you do is, and can everybody see? I think you can see that, okay? And let's go around and you use for next. You use for next and you use the cells function. And I remember in the 1990s when somebody showed me the cells function, it just changed my life. Oh my gosh. Let's do 100 scenarios. So go down and press enter a couple of times, put FOR. FOR, that's just a loop. Any language has this, and you put equal, FOR. It doesn't matter if it's capital or not. And let's start with, let's put 20. And the reason we're putting 20, we're going to start in row 20, and then put space TO, the word to, and then let's put 120. So this is unelegant, very unelegant, but it's okay. What the heck? And then you press enter we need a variable. Put I or something. I, the letter I equal 20, and then press enter a couple of times and put next, space I. And that's a loop. And now you can do something that Excel does crappy. You could make a data table to do this because that's the only kind of tool Excel has to make a bunch of different things, different scenarios. But okay, it's not efficient at all. And then what you do is you go up and go up and you put in there, press enter maybe once, and you type the word cells, CELLS. It's kind of like the index function. And you open the bracket And every time you have something with row and column, row is always first in all matrix, everything. So let's put, you know, type the word row. And then go upstairs, put comma 0 just for a minute, okay? And go up and change the name I to row. That was my fault. I should have changed that, okay? And for me, this is about the simplest kind of little VBA. And then you put equal sign. Very good. Oh, thank you, Josh. I wouldn't have done that. Oh, and then you put, if you put a range name, you could type the word range and put DSCR, but instead of, yeah, you have to put a little double inverted quotes at the beginning. We can do it like that. And some people put dot value at the end, which you don't really have to do here. So after the bracket, put dot value, because we'll get used to that a little. Put dot value. Now you can do that differently. You can kind of use square brackets. That's what Brian would do. But now you've made a Monte Carlo simulation. And so you go click on that one. Click on, oh no, we don't want 0. We want, what column are we in? We're on, I can't count. J is
Q.
10. J, K, what number would it be? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16. Let's put 16 or 17. And what happens if you type, instead of the 0, type 16, what that will do, I hope you can kind of see what's happening. I hope you can see. It's going to go to row.
And close it?
Yes. Well, let's just make sure everybody sees. It's going to go around and around. We've got a simple way to go around different rows. There are other ways to do this, but right now it's going to start in row 20. And then it's going to put the DSCR in 20, 17, which is whatever, Q7, Q20. And then it's going to go down and go around and around and around. So yeah, just close it and let's run it. Now, if you click on that, you see what it's doing, and it's doing it a little bit slowly, and the DSCR is below 1 over. We're defaulting every time. And what that would mean, and the key thing there, is this DSCR doesn't work. We'd have to put almost no debt into this project if we did this, and I don't know why it's taking so long. Do we have, Josh, do you have any other file open?
I have the generic macro open.
That's okay.
And interest rates.
Yeah,
we
got to close that interest rate. So press escape, and that'll stop our macro. Escape. Oh, very good that you opened that one, by the way. Okay. And here's I'm going to get to the kind of point here. So I hope, very good, that's closed. How about running the button again? Let's see if it goes faster, I hope. Okay, it's going somewhat faster. It's a little bit slow too. Now, in that other tab, there are ways to make it much faster, and I'm not going to waste too much time on this. But this clearly doesn't work. We can even stop. Press escape and just press enter and end. Okay, that doesn't work. And here's the problem. If we have volatility that does not have mean reversion. How about changing that volatility from 25% down to 5%? That might be something like a solar project. Or could you even do that? And then press that button again. And then what we would do is we would count how many times the DSCR is below 1. And that would give us kind of the whatever, the probability of default. So what I'm trying to do is relate our analysis. It's something you'll never ever do, but it shows you. But this little using the cells command is something that you might want to do to get a little more advanced. But it shows you that the required DSCR comes from how volatile your cash flows are. And the idea of a solar project or a project with a whole lot of contracts is we have a very low volatility over a long period of time, and we can afford that. We can do it. Now press how did we get down to 100? Oh, we did that. So if you go up to the top, if you go up to the top, you could how about where it says default count? Do you see where it says default count in line 8 in R8? In R8, up it says 0. Press equal count if, okay, and you open the bracket and take all of those things down there, all of those, and then put comma, and then you put in double inverted commas, less than 1, less than 1. Put a less, and then enter, and that counts how many. So right now we have a 19. We have 19 out of 100. So if you would take that count if and just divide it by 100, you get this. You get kind of the probability of default. Go up to that 19 and just put divide by 100. Now,
On a separate cell?
Yeah, there, wherever. Good. Yeah, because we did
I'm
100.
so sorry.
Now,
Could you? Can
yeah,
we go back
please.
to the VBA very quickly?
Yeah, just right click on the button. We're going to go back to it. Right click on the button and press assign macro and press edit. That's the way I get back quickly. So that's great that you stopped me. Don't be sorry. I thank you so much, because if it's the very first time you've done this, it's hard. And if it's the 10,000th time you do it, like me, I still made a mistake. I didn't put the row number in, and I didn't do all that stuff in kind of the simplest one we could possibly imagine. Okay.
So I have just curious, I have the same exact code, but I'm only getting one static DSCR.
Make absolute, oh, very, very good. I almost can tell you this. So I didn't tell you. That's really good. So Josh, go back to the Excel and make sure, go to the formulas tab and make sure it's set to partial or to automatic. So go to calculation options, kind of over to the over there, and he has automatic accept data tables. That's interesting, Josh. You have a little bit older version of Excel. The newer version say partial because they got this a Python in there, and they got some other stuff. Okay, so that if you have it on manual,
yes, that did it. Yep. Thanks.
Thank you for stopping me. That's exactly why we do this interactive. So thank you so much. Now let's go back to our model. And say
real quick. So the way this function works is it's changing the DSCR. It's giving it 100 different scenarios, and the EBITDA is changing. EBITDA was almost the input, and DSCR was the output.
F9 every time. It's pressing F9 every time. Exactly. Is that right? Is that, Josh? I cut you off, but was that your question?
The question is, DSCR is the output and EBITDA is the input. So shouldn't we have changed EBITDA 100 times as opposed to changing the DSCR 100 times?
We did. So when we changed the EBITDA, remember what that happened. If you remember when you went back to the financial model, go back to the financial model, which we're going to go to anyway. Remember, we changed that number on 26. That's changing every time. So exactly your question. I just made it quickly. I should have taken you through and had you do the whole thing, but so that's exactly what's happening. I just did it with an index instead of doing it with the direct one. Is that okay, Josh?
Partially. I think what I'm trying to ask is, why shouldn't we call the range? So if we come to time series for a moment, why shouldn't this be defined as change the EBITDA 100 times and not the DSCR 100 times?
So what we're doing, we're putting a random number in, and when we put a random number in, it's changing the EBITDA up at the top there in line 3. And when we change the EBITDA in line 3, we compute the index. We compute the index from that change. So go back to the Excel. So just press F9. So whenever you press F9, the EBITDA is changing. And when the EBITDA is changing, we put that in line 5. Let's do that. Go to the financial model. And do you see where we have the operation period and we have the lookup? Let's just do that. Go to K, start in K. This time put equal X lookup. Don't use regular old lookup. Put X lookup. Open the bracket and go up to the it says the just a second, the operating life in line 10. Click on K10 and put a comma and then do something that I do that's controversial. Go to the time series. And then we've got to find that number. So click on that whole line and then put a comma and click on line 5, which is the index. No, the next one. And then put comma 0. That says if you don't find it, put a comma 0, not an NA. And then put another comma 0. That's and that works just like lookup. Press enter. So it's a little bit better if you use X lookup, Shift Control R. Go back, Shift Control R. I hope, and so it's just taking it that, and then once you have that, the EBITDA changes, and if you go all the way down, if the EBITDA changes, the DSCR changes. Go way down. Go way down. So so if you press F9 right now, press F9, just enter, just F9 somewhere, and do you see that the DSCR is changing? Press F9 again. I hope. Oh, the DSCR is staying about the same. Press F9 again. Oh, come on.
Yep.
There, it changed. Okay, so that's what's happening. Now, if we would want to reduce our probability of default, go to the input C page, and then in the input C page, change the debt to capital to 70%. Down in line, down there in line 31. And remember, we just put a flat, we made a simple debt to capital, just press 60%. Did you press it?
Shall I just change it here?
No, not there. Oh, very good. That would have been horrible. Go to I, just go to I and just change it to all of them. Just go back. Yeah, just wherever we are. And then Shift Control R, and now if you go back to that time series, if we run that, then if you click on that button again, and then this time you can see the DSCR is always well above 1, and that's kind of how we would theoretically, not in practical things. In practical things, the bank experts, I know that the DSCR is 1.35 for any wind project in Canada. Because I just know that. That's just my little magic potion. That's the number. So I'm an investment banker. I'm going to tell you this is what it is. But theoretically, where did you get that number from? Theoretically, now as we're going down, this DSCR, this probability of default's almost 0. Okay, it's taking a little too much time here.
Sorry, Ed.
Yeah, oh, sorry, Brian. I didn't mean to. Okay.
Just one question. It's a little bit more theoretical, I guess, but it's just on what we refer to as probability of default over here. And it's a debate and a discussion I've had with bankers a number of times. So I'm quite keen to hear your thoughts on it. When you breach the DSCR, that's an implication of your inability to pay the debt in that period. And it's not taking your opening CFATs into account. It doesn't mean that you will actually not be able to pay the debt at all. It just means that you can't pay it necessarily with that period's cash flows. If you had opening cash,
that's exactly why we're going to compute. Do you see where it says that's last time we computed the accumulated default? If you go to J23, I think. No, yeah, go down to J23. That says I called it default amount. So that's exactly why we compute LLCR, PLCR, and the default amount. So right click on button 5, go to button 5, and right click and go to assign macro and press edit. Okay, and this time just copy that cells thing and copy that and put it just down to the next one and just paste it. Control C and Control V. Just no inside the loop, down underneath, Control V, and change the 17 to 18. And then change that to LLCR. And that's exactly the point. And that's, for me, like the loss given default. And after you do the LLCR, change it again, copy it again, and put PLCR. And make it, and that puts it in the next column. And then after you do that, Brian, that was a perfect question. And then go down and put default amount in next. And remember what we had done last time is we had made this wonderful little thing where we accumulated the default, where we had a little cash flow waterfall, and we used a min max. And we said, whenever it's cash flow is negative, we default, and then we repay the default. And our idea was when you have a default and then repay the default, you can kind of look at that. And so no, just this time copy it one more time, and I called it default amount. And this is classic, and change DSCR. If you just put default in there, I learned that you can't do that. No, because default is like used in Excel somewhere. Default underscore amount. I think it was underscore amount. Those are range names. Okay. And then just run it one more time, and that's the last time we run it. And now we're going to get back to something more practical. Press enter, and now you can see that, and that default amount, we could just count how many times you've actually defaulted. Okay, and with this one, we'll never default, and then enough, escape. And here's my problem. Here's the theory. If you put 20% volatility back there, how about this time? Run the button again, and then hopefully we're gonna get some defaults. It's there. We got a default on the DSCR and the LLCR. Oh, let's do it until we get a real. There, we had a big default there. We couldn't even pay off our debt by the very end of the project. And the PLCR should have been closer to 1. I'm not sure what's happening there, but that's the idea. I think we can stop that. But that's not in project finance, mean reversion is such a big deal. So what you do is do you see where it says mean reversion factor? I'm going quickly because I want to make sure that we do a little bit of sensitivity analysis very quickly. So I'll go 15 minutes over or something. Go up to where it says the in I. Go up to I4. And here's what the whole finance science gets so badly wrong, is they don't understand how important mean reversion is. When things go out of fashion, when things get obsolete, you have no mean reversion. It goes down and never goes up. When you're marketing and your product and BlackBerry is not popular anymore, there's no turning back. If you're getting people addicted to your product and they're getting more and more addicted, it can go up and up and up and up. There's no mean reversion, but in project finance, mean reversion is everything. If I didn't get, can you ask that question? I didn't see the bottom of the comment. I'm really sorry. I think that the DSCRs we're calculating hopefully are exactly the same DSCRs directly from the financial model, if that was the question. So now, can you just add one thing and then put a plus on the end of that? And the way mean reversion is, it says, after we've got a change, 10% of that change will go back, and we'll go back to the cost of production. So gradually we'll have something cyclical instead of just not, it's called non-stationary. Open the bracket and click on the 70,000 and press F4. That's our cost of production. And put a minus, and then go back to that 70,000 and close the bracket and multiply that by that little mean reversion factor, which is in line 5. In line 5, I put 10% of the time. So make sure you use the F4, and that should be E5. That should be E5. And so 10%, it's going to go back towards the mean 10%. That's called the mean reversion factor. Press enter. And here's the big problem. It's so easy to come and copy that all the way across. And what happens now is if you, and that's just this idea, if you press F9 a bunch, can you see the difference? It's only 10% of it's getting back. If this, and press F9, can you see it's not? And that's what you want in project finance. That's the big deal. Conceptually, you love solar power or something like that because it's a function of the weather. It's not a function of people liking a handbag or not. Press that mean reversion factor and make it increase. Increase that mean reversion factor to 20%. That's a really difficult one to calculate. I have some ideas about it, but I'm not going to waste your time. And now with the mean reversion factor, run the Monte Carlo simulation again. And the big deal here is not to talk about the mathematics of mean reversion or anything. Click on that button 5 and see if we have any defaults. Are you running it, Jash?
Sorry, I clicked on the Monte Carlo. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't mean
I
to
clicked
do
on
that.
this one.
Yeah, escape. That's got fancier ways to do it, which make it go faster and all that. Just click on your button 5.
Yeah, sorry.
What happened to user phone? Just click X on that one. Sorry. Just X out of that. Or escape again. Oh no, I should have stopped. Yeah, and oh no. Okay, that's my fault. Okay, and can you click on the button 5? It might be still going. That's my fault. Not. How about this time when you press escape, press escape, don't press N, press debug. Okay, and that's good. We'll do that.
Debug.
Press debug, and when you press debug, it just shows you. So that has the same sort of thing where you go up a little bit. It's got those. It's put those columns in, and there's a little bit fancier stuff, and then just X out of the whole VBA stuff. Sorry, I should. Brian, you can tell. Press OK. Just X out of the whole thing. Now we're back, and just press that button because we did it simpler. Okay, and is that working now? So click on it. Oops.
I just saved it.
Oh, good. Oh, fantastic. And now if you go down, hopefully we can't see the other way. I was kind of just, and you can see we never have a default. If you have mean reversion in the cash flows, that's the way the debt size really comes about. It's from volatility and mean reversion. I know that's theoretical, but at least we were able to show you kind of what these things really mean. And I think that's enough of this for now. We can, very good. And that shows you a little bit of VBA and a little bit, how about this as the final comment? Don't be intimidated. If somebody starts talking, oh, I'm doing a Monte Carlo simulation, I'm doing some kind of value at risk or something like that, and say, oh, I can do that. It's a simple little macro. I got to put a random number into my model, and I can do all kind of fancy things. And the big deal is to illustrate what's happening. And if you don't understand the mean reversion, and if you don't understand that if you're going to make a loan for 20 years, you better have something like a toll road or an airport or an electricity plant, and have confidence that people are still going to use electricity and have some kind of contracts around that. So if we do have volatility, at least we can get back. Okay, let's do one more thing. Let's go to the input C thing for a minute. Now, if you would, can you switch it to the very first base case? Okay, and let's say that I would like to, in that base case, I would like to see what happens to we just use debt to capital. Go down, we're just gonna make a data table. Go down and, yeah, it's somewhere there. How about putting the debt to capital of 60, 70, 80, 90%, okay? So
You
just
just want
put
me to
60,
type it in?
yep, 60% and go across to 70%. And okay, good. And then you can go, then if you're gonna make a data table, you go down, up, go back one, and let's change the EBITDA to 70%, 70,000, 80,000, 60,000. Let's put 60,000, 70,000, 80,000, 90,000. Okay, and if you press Shift Control Q, very good. Just do that. You get that. And let's see what happens to the DSCR if we put those different ratios. So you put an equal sign, and you go to the financial model, and you have to be in input and click on the DSCR of up there, 2.08. Now let's do one other thing. Press Enter. And let's go back to our time series model and put 0 for the volatility. If you put 0 for the volatility, it's like turning it off, okay? Then it's just flat, because remember, we multiplied that random number thing by the volatility. And then if you select that area, so that's our starting DSCR, select that area, and if you go to Data and What If Analysis and Data Table, you can then put the row input. That's the input associated with this. Now, don't use this one for now. I guess that would work. I think that 60% would work. I'm kind of afraid. Sometimes I think it has to be a real input, and then press Enter, and then you go up to the EBITDA, press Enter, okay, and press OK. And then you might have to press F9 because you had that thing the calculation. Uh-oh. Why did it? Oh no. Oh shoot. Can you just, is that 60, is the EBITDA 60,000 go up? Why did that go up to the EBITDA for a minute in the, that was 100,000. Go down. Let's do it a different way. Can you make that data table, but refer to the input in case one? I'm sorry about that. So select the area again and go to data. I don't use data tables enough. Go to the base case, the 60%. That's the row input in I31. No. Click on that and then press Enter, and then press that one, press Enter and press OK. Okay, and now it just kind of format what's in between. That's just a data table, okay? It has to be in that file. And can you just kind of format what's inside the data table as Shift Control Q? I hope it gave us the numbers. Uh-oh. Press F9 again, yeah, F9.
I did. Yeah.
Oh, there. Okay. Now there are so many bad things about this data table. It makes Excel really, really slow. You can't, if you had a goal seek in between, it wouldn't work. If you put this in a different sheet, it wouldn't work. And one of the little things, can you copy this whole data table and go just down one below? Copy that and then put it down. No, to a couple below, and just paste special as values, maybe. Okay. And then take that thing at the top out. No, in the bottom one. Just leave that and go to the bottom one. Take that middle thing out. Go down, 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 down. Take that one out, the 2.16. That little thing screws you up because now go up to the top data table and select the area and just press alternate F1 and make a graph. And when you do that, the graph doesn't work. Oh, delete that graph. It didn't come close. That's because that stupid thing in the middle. And then if you go to the, so delete that graph, and do the same thing in the bottom one. Okay. And press alternate F1. And then you can see, oh, that's kind of cool. I can see if the debt to capital is here, what's my DSCR, and do that kind of stuff. So we're going to write data tables instead of we're going to fix data tables with almost the same kind of approach we just did with the VBA. It's an example where Excel kind of works. It gives you some good ideas. And so to do that, I want to show you how to do some sensitivity. Go to the sensitivity page.
And Ed, is Alt F1 thanks to the generic macros, or does it always work?
I'm sorry, that's just good old Excel. No, sorry about that. A very good question. So now I did something tricky. Did you see where it says that scenario input? Okay, up there, that number 1 in G5. That's an input. And if you go back to the input C, go back to the input C page. In fact, that number 1 in E2 comes from that scenario page. See, that I made it a range name, and that one. So when you change the buttons, it's really changing the thing in the sensitivity page, not in this page. Now, to make a sensitivity analysis, this is called a one-way data table. Let's make a data table. Okay, and what you do is you go down to, so what I did is just to make this easier for you, if you go back to G8, that's just, all those are just outputs from our financial model. Okay, and that we had no default. I don't know why the LLCR is exactly the same as a DSCR, but we'll worry about that later. So what you do this time for a one-way, it's called a one-way data table. You go up one and you select the area. Now, the first time I made this one-way and two-way data table, I had my assistant with me, my dog, and I was yelling so much because I couldn't get it right. I kept on typing the stuff in the wrong place. My poor dog was really upset. So this time you have to leave that blank. The outputs are in G. Those are outputs, not inputs. The inputs are the scenario number. And what you do is you type data and what if analysis and data table. And then once you go to the data table, the row input is that number 1, and it has to be in this sheet. So you just click on that one and press enter, and there's no column input. That's blank. And then you press OK, and I hope, and then you're going to have to press the F9 again to get the whole thing to work. And then it gives you all of those scenarios. So that's, if you, again, I'm doing this quickly because I'm out of my time constraint just a bit, but I'm really happy, Josh, you did this. Now, in our cases, you can see what happened to all the different cases. How about going back to input C just for a minute and putting the 80% back in all of the columns to the debt to capital? 80% and shift control R. Okay, and then go back to the sensitivity. And so now, and press F9 again. And for me, this is what a banker should really do. Oh, we made our downside case and our DSCR is still above 1 in our downside case. And we just started hitting everything. And we had a big meeting around some table in the bank. And we said, let's make a downside case. And let's make this downside case where there's a 90% probability it's going to be above that case. That's our P90 in conceptual terms. Now let's present this, okay? And so go to column H, there, go down to H17 or something, and just put an equal sign, and just go up to that base case annual, click on that press enter. And then just you just copy that across. Just copy that to all the way to the low, and then go to column N and just make something called the downside case. Just write something called the downside case. And I used to hate doing this because I wasted so much time. I can't tell you the amount of time I wasted trying to make a thing like generic macros that does one of these cash flow waterfall diagrams. And then the day I finished it, Excel came out with it and it does it much better. So here's how to make one of those waterfall diagrams. Let's look at the DSCR. So let's go to column H, 18. H, put an equal sign. No, forward. Put an equal sign. Go up to the base case DSCR. In line 10, press enter. Now go to the next one, go forward to the next column, put an equal sign, take that 1.64 upstairs, oops, escape. Let's do it differently. Escape. Let's do it with the project IRR. Go back to put an equal sign, go up and get that project IRR of 9.3, because some of these things didn't affect the DSCR. Press enter. And then go to the next column across, forward, put an equal sign, take the difference. No, up at the top. Up at the top, put an equal sign. That one minus the prior one. Press enter. And then select that across, go all the way across. Up until you get to the downside case. Stop at the downside case. Go back one. Don't put it on the downside case. So that we're starting with a base case and taking the change from these other cases. And don't worry about the formatting right now. Go to column N and put an equal sign. Go all the way across to N. And put an equal sign, get that 3.69% from above, way above. That's just our worst case. And when we did our cases, remember what I said, we accumulated the variables. So once we changed the longer construction, we kept that in the other runs. And then select that area and press alternate and F1, including the titles, alternate and F1. Josh, amazing. And then, oh, that's not the graph we want. You right click on that graph and you go down to the one that says, just a minute, change chart type. It's really click off of click somewhere else in the graph. Yeah. And then put change chart type up, and then click on the one that says waterfall down there, down there. And you click OK, down waterfall, and you press OK, and it's showing you which had the biggest effect on the IR, which sensitivity case, and then you're not finished. You click on that very last one, click on that one and say set as total, and then you right click on there and right click on the bars and just put the data labels. Just right click and then just put add data labels. No, again, add data labels. I saw it just now. Oh, you could do that. I didn't know that. Good. Okay. And that shows you, for me, that's a way to present a downside case or an upside case. We'll do a tornado diagram a little bit later, but for me, I like these days because I can see which here I purposely did this. So the higher assumption on the CapEx was the one that really had the biggest effect. So you could have done this with DSCR or anything. And that's, so you could have used a data table. You have to keep it in the other one. Let's do one more thing. Can you put, so go down one maybe, to go down a couple, and we're going to do the whole thing with a VBA instead. Put an equal sign and go up to where it says base case annual, way up there, and copy those across. Okay, and I'm not, whoops, just there, good. And then go, maybe go forward, and this time, if you go up to G, let's just go down one and back one. go back one, and just put project IRR. Okay, let's, and what we want to do is fill in this data table. Now, what we'll have to do, and how about go all the way down to EBITDA, DSCR, LLCR, all those, okay? And I hope if you go to G7, is there a range name on this? Go up to there. Oh, shoot, go down one. Go down to the next one. That's total EBITDA. I think the one had, if you just go to a blank somewhere in Excel anywhere, just put equal PRIRR. I think equal PR. Is PIRR there? That PIRR. So here's what we're going to do. How should I do this? Let's do it in a bad way, and then I'm just going to tell you kind of the much better way. So for now, we want to go to column H, and D is 4, E is 5. What number is column H? 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so let's go and make a little button again, just like you did with the Monte Carlo simulation. So what I'm trying to show you is, and press new, I'm just trying to show you that we can use the same kind of approach. It doesn't look like it's the same. If you press enter a few times just to get started, what we want to do is go around rows and columns. So let's put for row equal, and can you now cheat? What row did we start on for our output? Just go down a little bit and see what, can you go back to kind of push it? So we started in row 22. So put for row 22 space, that's very bad, by the way, space, no space, TO until we get to row 26. Is that okay? So it's the same kind of thing. Those should be elegantly done so you can insert a line, copy the table and all this, and press enter a few times and then put next row. And what I want to do is a few more times put next row, because we're going to have to fill in some stuff in between. And then you can go up just below the next row and kind of just put the tab key, use the tab key, go up one, just right in the very next line. Tab. And I want to take fear away from VBA and show you what you can do. So put for call, or it'd be column or call. Let's just call it call. That's just any name equal. And what was column H again? I forgot. What number was column
8.
H? It's 8 to how many columns do we have? Good. Good. Okay, if we missed one, it doesn't matter. And then every time, now it's a little bit tricky. Every time we change the column, we're going to go around each column. Every time we change the column, we're going to have to do a little bit of a trick here. How about, can you go just above the name row and put count equal 1? Up one, put count equal 1. And I'm probably going to mess this up. The chances of me not messing this up are very, very small. Count equal 1. And then when you go through and I did something really idiotic. Could you move the row below the column? And Brian, you should be helping me and telling me and go down, and then yeah, very good. And then put next, go down and put below next row, put next call. So we have two little loops. Do you see where it says next row at the bottom? Put next call. Okay. And then up before it says for row, go up one, and press enter, and put cells. We're going to do the same thing that we did before. No, we're going to do take that away. Range scenario. No, you can do it. Range scenario, and then you
Range.
open and put double quote scenario. You can do that differently. Close the bracket, put equal count. So what we're doing, you see where it says count? Count is first equal to 1. Press enter and then put count equal count plus 1, just below there, before you get into the row. Count equal count plus 1. So what we're doing is the very first time the scenario will be equal to 1, and then we're going to go to the next scenario. Then after we've done 1, the count is going to be equal to 2. And when count is equal to 2, the scenario number will change to 2. And then we're going to kind of run the whole model, and it will say count equals 2. And then go below where it says for row, you can, and this is really embarrassing right now. Delete the whole row loop. Sorry, delete that for row equals 22. I guess it was good that we kind of showed you that. And go down to next row and delete that. I'm really messing up where it says next row. And then you press enter and you put cells. And you put, we're going to put in row 22. So open the bracket and put 20. Open the bracket and put 22. That's the row number. Put comma call. That's going to be, and then close the bracket and put range.
Is equal to.
Put it equal, right, and then put the word range, and then open the bracket and put in quotes PRIRI. And then copy that and put that to row 23. Okay, and so, and then we said that's equal to EBITDA. Okay, and that was a range name, I hope. I think it was total EBITDA. I'm sorry, could you just
Total
cheat?
underscore EBITDA.
Is that what it was? Do you remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the next one was DSCR, and the next one was LLCR and PLCR. Now you're probably saying, "Oh man, I love this. Is horrible. I like that other method you did with just the data table so much better." But if you do this, you can make the graphs. You can put it in a different page, and then you can do the goal seeks together. So I'm just saying. And if it doesn't work, I'm almost going to give up. But well, maybe we'll get lucky. If it works the first time, this would be totally unrealistic. It never works the first time for me. So if you look at that, what we're doing is we're going around the columns. We're changing the scenario, and we're going to the input C page and changing the scenario from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. When we change it, we're collecting we're every time we change it, we're going to go to root 22. Let's be brave and try it. And how about saving the file first, Josh, again? And then that will be the end of our session. Okay.
So close that. Save the file.
Or yeah, very good. Just Control S, and let's see if it works. Okay. And it did something, and I think it might have worked. Okay. So that's another way to do a data table. And I know, and then what you can do is if you look in the file, I did it a lot more elegantly, and we went one too far, which is fine, I guess. So that's just another way, but it's just an introduction to for loops with the cells function, and we did two very, very different kind of things, and I don't know why we had a 0 DSCR on the one. We can kind of look at that, and I think we're getting different numbers when I look at the base case worked. Why did it? Oh, I changed it to 3. I'm sorry. Did you see it? It changed it to 3. We should have done something a little fancier, but I hope you're getting the idea. So I just want to stop now. I don't want to ruin your weekend even more than I am. So does anybody have any discussion or questions or comments? Let's go to that thing. Thanks, Josh. Okay, and this time, Josh, could
Pleasure.
you save the file and send it to me? I might fix the little things because I wanted to go to, and then we'll send this file in.
You will have it now.
Oh, great. Okay, how about this? Anybody have any comments or questions about what you'd like to see next time a little bit?
Ed, this was great. Honestly, I've always used data tables, so appreciate this. I think it's a clean way to also do the waterfall. One question I quickly had on the model was if you're able to pull up the model.
Yeah, I can share it. Yeah.
Sorry. Basically, the financial model tab itself. The debt, PV of debt doesn't equal the NPV. That's due to that first period, right? Not being false, I think.
Right. So if we start, that's why if you look carefully, when we did it, why do we have so much debt in this case? Just a minute. Is that what you're asking? Can you go up to the debt schedule? And down there. Oh, because we put 80% in, so we have more debt.
Yeah.
So if you go down, is that the same as the NPV we have? That one. And if you press F2 again, if the trick was to keep the number 1 the same and not start if you click on that little discount rate in line 99, the trick was if you press F2 inside the bracket, do you see we multiplied it by this K9? So we didn't start counting until you hit the repayment. And that's how you kind of fix that true false thing. And the true false thing, that only works with NPV. It doesn't work with XNPV. So it's for me, and I just stole this from a model ages and ages ago, saw what they were doing. I had no idea what they were really doing. It's not so just a way to compute. It's like taking, the cash flow divided by 1 plus the discount rate raised to the power, but you're accumulating it. It's much more elegant to do it this way. Oh, thanks, Brian. Okay. We'll be finished.
It makes sense.
Okay, so
So
that's
basically
great.
that NPV
That's
you wouldn't
very
really
good.
use as much.
Yeah, there are other ways to do that. I didn't have to use the sum product, that was okay.
No, I've seen it that way. That makes sense. Thank you. And I guess to answer your prior question on what would be great next time, and of course, you're the boss, but like construction financing itself, the actual IDC and thereabouts would be great.
Interesting. Okay. That means that we'll go through some circular references. And I suppose that's totally fine. I was thinking about when to get to circular references. Now, could somebody else, if anybody else has other things you want to, talk about, and if I was going to kind of do a little correspondence between corporate models and project finance, but I think after you said this, if anybody can put in their little chat what they might like to see, I think that's exactly right, because that's my passion. Let's do that. We're gonna have a copy block and a paste block. We'll show you how to do it with a classic copy and paste. And then I'm just doing this right now. I'm gonna show you my little technique, and you can drop off the phone if you don't want to see my little technique. I'm going to show you the problem. So that's perfect. But if somebody has some other opinions, I'm not the boss. You're the boss. You tell me. That's why we do it this way. So great. Okay. Irene, could you ask the question? Sorry.
The DCLs that you are calculating time series tab.
Yeah, so could you go to the time series tab, Josh?
Yeah, the Q20 and all that, the 0.94 and all that. I was trying to understand how we are arriving at those calculations and what do they mean, because I saw it's different from the DSCLs that are discussed earlier in the financial model. So I'm just trying to understand what these calculations are doing and what are they mean.
Very good. Wait. Before you do that, Josh, just press the put some volatility in there. Put some. Now, wait, actually let's not put volatility in a second. So in right now, we have no volatility. And if you see the DSCR in line 22 and the LLCR and the PLCR, those numbers right there, those are exactly the same as the numbers in the financial model. So go to the financial model and just show Irene that, okay, that's what they are. Up there, we have the 1.05. So those numbers come directly from the financial model. And then if you go back to the time series model, now what we did is in the financial model, put a little volatility in them. Okay, now when we put volatility, that could be any kind of numbers. That's good. So he just put a couple. And can you see in line 5, there are those numbers in line I, J, K, L in number 5. And what Josh did is he took, if you go to the financial model, those numbers, so we're kind of going back and forth, Irene, sorry, but those numbers in the financial model, and can you see the DSCR is lower and all that stuff? And they're lower because way up at the top, and the most important thing is here is kind of the structure of the model. The structure of the model is to compute the EBITDA, but that EBITDA, instead of being 90,000 in line 27, it goes down because if it's a blue number, remember any blue number comes from the other sheet. So that comes from the other sheet, and we make the EBITDA go up and down, and that affects the DSCR below, and then we kind of have a big circle, and you go back to the time series. So now when you look at those in line 22, the DSCR and the LLCR, those are different. And if Josh presses F9 again, they're different again. And then, and here's what all we're doing with that little table. It's like it's exactly like pressing the F9 100 times and copying and pasting, copy and pasting. So it's as if we're pressing F9, copying and pasting, pressing F9, copying and pasting, pressing F9, copying and pasting. And that's what that macro does. That's what that VBA does. Right click on the VBA just for a second. So it's as if we say it in words instead of say it in it say, let's go from row 20 to row 120. And then we're going to press F9. And after we press F9, we're going to put in cells row 20 first and column 17, we're going to put the DSCR. It's like we're copying the DSCR. And then we go to row 21 and we copy the DSCR again. And that's all that kind of stuff does. And it still might not be clear, Irene, but the importance of this, I think you asked what the importance of this. It's not important. You would hardly ever do this in a real model. So please, any thought of doing it in a real model, go away. I'm trying to show you that in theory, when people come up with a DSCR, what they're really, really doing is saying, how much do the cash flows bounce up and down? And when they bounce up and down, how much do they follow a kind of cycle pattern where they come back to their value? And that makes a project much, much safer. So when you think about any kind of risk. It's not project finance, any kind of risk. How volatile are things? How much do they bounce around? Using random, normal, and all that, that's actually bad, because things don't bounce around like a mathematical equation. They bounce around like crazy. And then, but you have to think, how much can they go down? And then will they stabilize? And will it be over the long term? Will we be able to finance this over the long term? So that's, I'm gonna stop there. I don't know if I helped or hurt, Irene, but that's a little bit how it works.
I think you did. So whatever we're doing Q, it's just testing the outcomes of the DSCR multiple times.
Exactly.
And then okay, all right, it's clear now.
And
Thank
that's
you so much.
exactly what a data table does too, by the way. That's how, if somebody's asking how one of these data table works, that's how I would explain it.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you for your question. Okay.
Ed, maybe a silly question, but related to this, you see how you explain that you go from row 20, then 21, etc. But we're not saying press F1 here before we say copy the numbers.
It just works as long as you have the automatic thing. I don't know why it works. Great question, Josh. And in fact, if you go to that other Monte Carlo button, I tried to do it in a fancier way. So you can look at that and go to assign macro and press edit. And then you kind of expand this. In this case, every time I went around, I did some range names, and
I'm sorry.
and no problem. I make it if you go, go down a little bit. Do you see what it says calculate? That's like pressing F9. And what I did, it just works a lot faster if you do it. If you have to, I'll explain this next time when we go through our circular references again. And you can try to press the button, but I don't want to waste too many people's time. It works a lot faster. And it's got some little things to get a little more advanced. Okay.
Just one question, if I can. In terms of next sessions, do you plan to delve deeper into corporate finance models like LBOs or pure project finance for now?
See, I just want you to tell me that. What's your interest?
I mean, my interest is, towards investment banking, to be honest. But, these are great sessions as well about project finance. I'm enjoying them a lot, but I just wanted to see, looking ahead.
I exactly wanted to do a correspondence between corporate models and project model. How about this? I'm going to, a lot of people, what they do is they get these little tests, and what's happening in project finance is we have so many buying and selling of projects, and we have to make valuations of these projects. I'm debating whether we should get into the circular reference next time. Please, if anybody has any comments, I'll send on the next one. I'll decide. I think it might be better. I hope you don't mind if just before we do the circular reference, let's at least do a valuation, and let's at least talk about some valuation concepts. And the way I'm going to treat this, I could, by the way, we should really make kind of a regular old corporate model. And then after we make a regular old corporate model, let's do a LBO on this corporation and put a transaction period, and we put a sources and uses. So there's some commonalities of that. How about this? We'll do a valuation of this one, and then I've got to create a little corporate model, and we'll demonstrate some of those concepts. Okay, I'll try to get to that fairly soon. And I'll put in the title when we're doing that. So in case you don't want to do that.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, that's really good to know. That's what I wanted to know. Okay. Very good. It sounds like you need your weekend. You're amazing, amazing. That you would, you need some credit for taking 2 hours voluntarily and doing this. It's amazing that you do this. Okay, so have a good week. I think what I'll try to do is get you the video of this earlier, and I'll make sure and share it so we don't have that problem. Okay. Very
Thanks,
good.
Ed.
Bye. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Ed.
Bye.